The Harry Potter films helped us believe in magic, but to make it possible, the actors had to follow certain rules, whether they liked it or not.
I shouldn't have said that. I should not have said that.
Who almost married a co-star despite the rule? How did the young actors manage to study while filming? And what did Emma Watson do as soon as the series ended?
She needs to sort out her priorities.
You can't date your co-stars. That's quite a logical rule if you think about it. When co-stars begin dating, especially if they break up, it often leads to awkward situations. No one wanted all this drama on the Harry Potter set. Surprisingly, even though the cast was full of hormonal teenagers, they managed to avoid it. There were no on and off relationships or secret flings during the 10 years of shooting, so we can say that the actors were serious about following this rule, but at the same time there were still cupids flying around the set, and a couple of their hits reached the target.
I'm just saying it could be a contributing factor.
We know about at least 2 pairings created during filming, and both were more than flings. For example, Tom Felton dated Jade Olivia Gordon for 8 years. She was a stunt assistant and played Draco's wife Astoria in the epilogue. Another couple who found each other on the Harry Potter set were Bonnie Wright and Jamie Campbell Bower. Although Ginny Weasley and young Gellert Grindelwald never met, the actors' relationship was quite strong. They even got engaged. But both of the relationships ended sometime after the series, and we're moving on to another rule. Continue your studies. It was important for the crew to make sure that all the young actors kept going to school. They even had tutors who helped them with that in between filming, and while spending long hours on the set, they had to do their homework. Oliver Phelps, who played George Weasley, revealed an interesting fact about it. In the exercise books in the Great Hall set, we'd actually do our own schoolwork, just to make it look as authentic as possible, he said. Every time we see kids on the screen scribbling something in their notebooks, it's them doing their actual homework. It certainly added a great deal of realism to the school setting, and at least one Harry Potter star was happy about it. Just like Hermione in the series, Emma always loved going to school.
It's sort of exciting, isn't it? Breaking the rules.
She even wanted to leave the franchise at some point because it disrupted her studies, but she couldn't do it because of that next rule. You can't just quit. Adapting a series of 7 books is quite a commitment. Especially since the plot is already written, you can't replace or kill off a character just like that. That's why actors, especially the lead ones, are usually not allowed to leave the project until it's finished. The cast members had to sign long-term contracts for the Harry Potter series. Since they were kids, they couldn't make one for 10 years, so they had to redo it after every couple of films. Concerned about an insufficient focus on her studies, Emma was unsure about signing a new contract. It happened right before they were going to film The Goblet of Fire, but the crew didn't want her to go. Understandably so, fans wouldn't appreciate another actress playing Hermione, so the producers did everything to convince Emma to stay. They even postponed the dates of the shooting for her. I feel very lucky. Warner Brothers has been very supportive of me keeping this education thing going. I'm very grateful, the actress later shared. And to ensure the child actors worked for as long as the crew needed them to, literal laws were changed. The Harry Potter producers appealed to the British Parliament to alleviate the child labor rules and make them more efficient. For sure, the change was beneficial for the franchise, but it's unclear if it was that good for the actors because the job brought a lot of stress. We all remember Dan's drinking issues that took place because of the pressures of fame. And Rupert also sometimes felt as if he was giving too much time to the series.
It felt quite suffocating because, I mean, it was heavy going. It was kind of every day for, I think, 10 years in the end.
But the stars certainly never regretted being part of the series, even with the next rule. No dangerous sports? Would be weird to suddenly see Harry or Ron wearing a cast or using crutches in the series, right? Everyone would immediately say, it wasn't in the books. So there was a rule that ensured that no such thing ever happened. The Harry Potter actors weren't supposed to engage in any dangerous activities such as contact sports, and they also couldn't even ride a bike or ski during the years of filming. On the one hand, it's a logical rule, but wasn't it too harsh on the young actors? After all, they spent their childhood with no chance of using trampolines, rollerblades, or bikes. Funnily enough, there was an adult crew member who eventually broke this rule. It was Mike Newell, the director of The Goblet of Fire. He got so committed to the job, showing the Phelps twins how to fight in the Great Hall, that he broke a rib. Here's how it happened. Making things even more awkward for the director, the entire cast was on the set that day. I'd made a complete asshole out of myself in front of 400 children, Newell lamented. Talk about bad luck. Anyway, here's the next rule. No haircuts. All Harry Potter actors had to have a certain look, which wasn't supposed to change throughout the series. For most, their haircuts were something of a signature style. Hermione's bushy mane, Ron's red hair, Harry's unruly locks, and Malfoy's blonde cut. It's impossible to imagine those characters looking any other way. Since Tom Felton has a darker hair color in real life, he had to dye it blonde every few weeks for 10 years. At one point, he got worried that he'd get bald, but somehow his locks survived. And Emma Watson couldn't cut her hair, even though she didn't really like how it looked. Remember this line?
Is that really what my hair looks like from the back?
Emma came up with it herself and begged the writers to let her say it. The actress felt pretty sad that she couldn't experiment with her style. So it's unsurprising that she cut her hair short as soon as she finished filming. I'd been on Harry Potter for 10 years, so I needed to mark the end of it in some way. I needed a drastic change, and that's what the crop was all about, Emma explained. She wasn't the only one who hated her haircut. Rupert Grint says that his style in The Goblet of Fire was a huge mistake. My hair in film 4 is one of my biggest regrets. Shoulder length, it is very cringy, he explained. Share in the comments below if you agree.
Shut up, Harry.
However, some of the appearance-related rules had to be changed. We all know that Harry was supposed to have green eyes, like his mother, which was a huge point in the books. But Dan has blue eyes, and we needed to get used to it for a simple reason. In the first film, he tried to wear contact lenses, yet it turned out that he was allergic. I put green contact lenses in, but they were excruciatingly painful, he commented. Emma also had an issue with Hermione's buck teeth. She wore fake choppers initially, but they made it hard for her to talk. So the idea was scrapped. Now, onto an even more serious rule. Don't spoil the movies. This one might seem to be a bit strange. After all, the movies were based on books, so what spoilers could there be? But in fact, it still makes sense. Firstly, not all movie fans read the book series. So for them, learning about Dumbledore's death or Snape's backstory would be a huge spoiler. And secondly, when the production of the movies began, there were still unreleased books. To help the young actors understand what would happen to their characters, J.K. Rowling told them how the story would end. Dan, for example, knew at some point that Harry would sacrifice himself. He started preparing to shoot this scene way before the final film, and he obviously couldn't talk about it. Just like Alan Rickman, who knew the motivation behind Snape's actions. He never shared it with anyone, not even the crew members.
Chris would literally say to him, "Why are you doing that like that?" He said, "I'll tell you later."
What a patient man he was. And the final rule we're going to discuss is no inappropriate activities. The strictness of this rule can be seen from the example of Jamie Waylett, who played Crabbe. The actor was arrested in 2009 for growing weed, and his contract was terminated immediately.
It's a disappointment for him and the franchise, really, so just disappointment, really.
In hindsight, it was probably a good thing. After all, it didn't end there, as 2 years later, Jamie was arrested for looting. But not only were the actors forbidden from taking part in drug-related stories, they had to maintain a clean image in all senses. It also came to starring in other projects. The actors could only accept the parts in family-friendly movies. Everything else was deemed inappropriate. So it's no wonder that as soon as the series ended, Dan Radcliffe, for example, went on to star in everything he wanted. That included pretty odd roles in Swiss Army Man and Guns Akimbo. But hey, he had to do everything to overcome the one-role curse, right?
I am the chosen one.
What do you think about these rules? Were they too strict? Let us know in the comments and check out other Harry Potter videos on OSSA Movies.